badass motherfuckers. It's the results. Kill excuses. The morning drinking show. I'm your host, Greg. Getting back on this motherfucker once again. We getting back on here, aren't we? Right? That means we doing life. I know a lot of you ain't doing life. You want to think you're doing life because you got plans. That does not mean you're doing life. Because you got to look at the big picture, the context of your life, right? Is life dragging you up and down the block, right? How much freedom you got, right? We live in this country of the land of the free, right? Home of the brave, land of the free. Are you truly free, right? Or are you controlled by what, man? What the tube is telling you? Politics, bullshit, right? It's interesting times we live in. It's a beautiful day. I hope you're planning to be a beautiful person in this world today. Why don't you start with a smile, right? Why don't we start this day with a smile? Yes, you right there. You have a beautiful smile, right? Smiling. Breathe, man. Breathe. So many of us, we just need to breathe. That's it. You breathe, you smile, you start really thinking about what thoughts you're having, right? And it's mostly the negative thoughts, right? It's understanding that the negative thoughts, the worry, the confusion, the frustration, the irritation, right? The exhaustion, all of those thoughts where you're just like frustrated, irritated, right? Pissed off, agitated. All those thoughts manifest situations in your life that bring about what? Greater peace? No. More situations of what? Frustration, agitation, irritation. And it's really that life is really presenting you with the lifeline saying, here's your opportunity to grow. Here's your opportunity to become better than who you are right now, in 5 minutes from now, in an hour from now, in another day, right? By the end of the day, based on some positive thoughts, you could become a better version of yourself. And that's this whole game. That's this whole game called life. Is saying, who am I right now? With totally fucking clear eyes, sober eyes. Who am I? Who are you? Right? Not just who are you, what your ID says, right? What your Facebook name is, right? What your Instagram account is, your Snapchat, all this other bullshit. Not that. Who are you from an emotional perspective? Are you a peaceful person? And when I say peaceful, is there peace within? Is there peace in your mind? Is there peace in your body? Right? Are you truly a happy person? You could be a funny person. There's a big difference between. I know a lot of funny motherfuckers out there. You're funny, right? Very sarcastic, right? But that don't mean you're happy. That don't mean you're joyful, right? A lot of the most funniest people you know are hurting inside. We seen this shit. Robin Williams comes to mind. Funny motherfucker, but guess what? He was suffering on the inside. And I know a lot of y'all motherfuckers that are funny, think it's always about shits and giggles, right? You're hurting. There's something in there, right? There's something in there inside of you. So when you ask, who am I? It's really saying, who am I from an emotional standpoint? When I walk in the room, when you walk into a space of other people, what do you bring to that environment? Do you bring light? Do you bring positivity? Do you bring hope? Do you bring optimism? Right? Do you bring encouragement? Right? Or are you bringing your emotional suffering, your emotional baggage, your insecurities? Right? Your pain. Right? That's what we talk about today. I know most of y'all can't handle this shit today. We're talking about pain. Right? And that's one thing, man. I didn't land up there in jail if I wasn't doing what? Allowing the pain inside of me to hurt other people. Do you hear this shit? I don't land up in that picture right there, right? If I'm not perfectly qualified to explain to you that, look, unless you heal your fucking pain, the shit that you're hurting inside, the emotional pain, not the little owie of hurt your arm or your leg. I'm talking about emotional pain. If you don't heal your emotional pain, and there ain't no magic tricks that's going to do it for you, you will hurt others. And guess what? You're going to hurt people you care about. You're going to hurt people you love, right? This is not a mystery of life. This is a fact. This is a fact. We're willing to accept that. Anybody want to challenge me that if you don't heal your pain, you're going to continue to hurt people. And eventually, guess what? You're going to be alone. You're going to be isolated, or you're going to have people that just literally despise you. They resent you. They hate you, right? Because you've hurt them, because you are not safe from an emotional point of view, right? And that picture gets painted time and time again because there's a lot of men, especially in the masculine, right? And it's really just masculine energy. Masculinity it often gets portrayed in society, this toxic masculinity. And the reason being why it gets taken out of context, not just what healthy masculinity is, right? The toxic masculinity is machismo. It's thinking that you need to be Tommy Toughnuts anytime some shit goes down. But see, that's not what's really needed right now. Sure, being a defender, being a man that's able to protect when there is real threats, right? Which rarely happens. It rarely happens, let's be honest, right? Where motherfucker need to spring into action, right? Beat up a whole group of guys trying to overtake your family, right? Home invasion or something crazy. Very rare. It's very rare, right? When a man or a woman or anybody's really needed to be called into a heroic act. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be prepared, right? But a lot of us think that we're prepared just mentally. We watch action flicks and we think we could do all these moves. We watch UFC, combat sports, and we think, oh, I could do all those moves. But you can't even run 100 yards without coughing up a lung, right? And yet we think that in a relationship, this is speaking to men mostly right now, but women need to hear this shit too, because they're experiencing this, is that you have to, as a protector, as a defender, right? That you have to be tough. You have to be hard, that women want security and safety. But the thing is they want emotional security, emotional safety. And most men don't offer that because most men, and it's unfortunate, but it's a byproduct of generational pain being passed on. Let's get real here. Someone has to be it. And I believe if you're hearing this message today, right now, you right now are called, right? To be the person to heal your pain, emotional suffering. And that right there, that journey right there is literally going to be able to transform your entire lineage, your entire ancestry. Because it takes the will of a warrior to say enough is enough. The pain, the baton of pain has been passed from one generation along in your lineage to another. If you are suffering, emotionally speaking, if you are carrying around trauma and pain and hurt, heartbreak, all of this shit, it has been passed from one generation to the next, right? Because hurting people hurt people. And until you're willing and ready to start dealing with your emotional pain, right? You will continue to hurt people you care about. And that's the sad fact of the matter, right? Those people won't interpret it. When every time you hurt someone that you care about, intimate family members, your children, your spouses, right? Close relatives, close friends. Every time that you do something that destabilizes trust, right? Safety, emotionally speaking, even physically, right? Those people distance themselves from you emotionally. They may be not able to distance themselves in a physical sense, but definitely in an emotional state of being, they distance themselves from you. And the unfortunate thing is, we're all suffering. We're all carrying around this shit. And it literally takes the most courageous person. If you think you're a real warrior, right? You want to really fucking kick some ass and slay some shit, destroy, do some major fucking damage, right? Be the defender of all defenders, right? I think about He-Man. I have the power. You know what I mean? Like, you want to really show how fucking, you want to do a real flex in 23? Heal your pain, man. Heal that trauma. How do you do that? How do you heal? How do you heal trauma? What is trauma? Because trauma is an emotion, right? And it's going along this journey. It's really starting to write down. That's why I go back to the journaling, right? It takes you writing down and accepting everything that's happened, right? I know there's people that I connect with from that military piece, right? You've been in combat. You've lost fucking men and women that are closer than relatives, right? In the battlefield and even after. It's crazy. And yet, your response to that is to what? Just continue to suffer in silence? To take on that burden instead of do what, man? Like heal that shit. Heal it. And how do you heal it, man? You release it. You get to the root of it, the root of the pain, the root, the origin of where your pain is coming from. Right? But you have to truly connect with your emotions. That's what I'm talking about. When I say, look, you need balance here, you need healing. We all need healing in these 4 areas. There's 4 areas that we need healing in this life. Our mental state of being, right? We need mental health, we need emotional health, we need spiritual health, and we need physical health. A lot of you go for physical, and a lot of you go for spiritual, right? And in the past, I've done that. I went for all in spiritual health. Man, it didn't fix the emotional trauma, those subconscious programs, because that's what's crazy, right? If you don't heal the trauma, you don't heal the emotions, right? Really by connecting with inner self, then you can have perfect attendance at whatever spiritual thing you like to do. But you know that there are triggers. There's still things that happen that trigger this other thing, the beast, that then leaves you feeling what? That you can't trust yourself. That's how I felt. And that's what I'm trying to share here as a message. Is that when I felt, when I was spiritually on fire, man, zealous, and a lot of people knew me, and a lot of people were probably even envious, like, dang, man, this guy's really on fire. Spiritually speaking, they didn't realize, man, like I'd be over there fighting with my then wife, my now ex-wife. We'd be fighting, going to church, right? Fighting after church, fighting every day in between church. And it was like there was no peace, right? But we show up, put the, with the smile and the hands raised and all this shit. And it wasn't an act. We were genuinely showing up. I was investing a lot of time in spirituality throughout the week, trying to live it out, walk out, live out the faith. But the thing that it never taught me, that walk, that journey, it didn't teach me how to heal the trauma, how to really release those triggers. And it comes through really self-examining. You have to be willing and courageous enough to examine yourself, right? To get to the root of what is going on in your life, right? Most of us have eating disorders, right? Whether you want to admit it or not. And associated with an eating disorder is also a drinking disorder, right? A lot of us, if you drink if you have an excess over drinking of what, either energy drinks or sodas, right? That's a disorder. Your body doesn't need that, right? These bodies are so beautiful. They're so perfectly designed by God, right? That the body knows exactly what you need. And yet, most of us are abusing our bodies because of the instability in our emotional state of being, right? And that's a really tough thing. Most people watching this are gonna have a hard time really understanding where it's coming from. So I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna try my best today. Free flowing, right? Just speaking my truth to give you tools, right? To really become a better version of yourself, to heal some stuff, or at least have a better understanding for how you can start to heal and start this process of healing, right? Because I've done what? Therapy for years, right? Talking with somebody, just having a sounding board, telling this person about how I feel, telling this person about my life, what I've been through, right? Just having them kind of analyze with me. That's kind of therapy, right? I've done hypnosis. It's cool. I met a hypnotherapist yesterday. I've done hypnosis, which definitely gets you to this deeper place because, see, that's the problem. Most of us want to heal conscientiously in our minds, right? And I was this way. And I would be so pissed off and frustrated with myself that I used to, like, when I was sober, right? Because I'm sober. I've been sober almost 11 years. And so through that process, I still felt uncontrollable, emotionally speaking. And it would just, it would piss me off because I felt like I couldn't control myself and I couldn't trust myself. And I didn't understand why. Because in my mind, in a sober state of being in therapy, I'd be saying, look, this is what's happening within my marriage, and this is where I get frustrated. And I could really identify when I got angry. And it really sucks, right? Because a lot of times, maybe something happens at work, right? And because work is a place where you have to be very guarded, right? Because you can't just pop off at work. Sometimes it gets so bad that you do see people have a meltdown in the workplace, right? But we all know as adults that comes with major consequence. That shit don't just get overlooked. Sometimes it does. That the environment is so toxic that when someone just erupts, right? And it sucks when even the leaders are carrying that around, where the leaders are very volatile and toxic. Because everyone working there is like walking on eggshells. It's sad. If that's your environment, man, my heart goes out to you. But most of us, if we're really overwhelmed, we're really stressed out, we're really frustrated, we really feel not seen, not heard at work, there's all these things happening that it gets bottled up, that usually, where does it come out? Right? Where do those emotions come out? Right? That's probably why they even made up the fucking happy hour. Why you got the happy hour? When's happy hour happen? Usually after work, right? Because a lot of people miserable during work. That happy hour, again, is supposed to be like that release valve of pressure. But again, happy hour is focused on what? Junk food and fucking drinking. And neither of those, we think mentally, you think, oh, this is how I'm unwinding. This is how I like to relax. Right? And certainly when you alter your mental and emotional and physical state of being by ingesting alcohol, and it makes you feel kind of bubbly and laughy and just like, until you get past that point and then you're drunk. But it takes you out of reality. But here's the problem, is in that act of doing the happy hour, yeah, sure, you might be with a bunch of funny people. Everybody's laughing, everybody's joking, everybody's cracking jokes, being sarcastic, and in your mind, emotionally speaking, it's a fun experience. You're having fun. But here's the problem, is whatever triggered you throughout the day, or really the big picture is throughout your life. The things that you are carrying around from an emotional state of being, the negative emotions, those activities of, oh, I'm having fun. Oh, I'm just with my friends. We're going out. We're doing things we like to do. And none of that releases negative emotions, right? The release of the negative emotions, right, can happen in one of two ways. It happens with a blowout, right? And that usually is when you hurt other people, right? You go off, right? You unload, you fucking just rip into somebody. That's usually not the person or the cause of the thing, right? And even in the short-sightedness of things, it's never usually the person, because this shit goes all the way back to whoever them caregivers were, the people that raised you, the people that caused those original hurts, right? The original pain, the original sense of terror, right? It is that is where your pain comes from. Not from this past week, someone insulting you, someone cutting you off. I mean, how many of you guys are like road ragers? Like, you have no patience driving because you're more important. It's so funny. I watched something the other day. I think it was Wayne Dyer. I really enjoy his wisdom, but he was talking about just divine perfection, that even the little old lady driving slow, whether it's in the fast lane or not, maybe she should be in the other lane. Maybe he should. The old timer should be in the other lane, right? But we think that we're so much more important that they need to get the fuck out of our way, right? Because we got things to do, as opposed to just realizing that even in that, there is perfection. For you to realize that, again, wherever you're trying to go, the destination is not the destination. The journey is being present and being alive and being centered and grounded on yourself. But so many of us, we're just running around from one thing to the next. And that in of itself, it creates a lot of exhaustion, right? We don't know how to say no. We can't say no. Someone invites you, I want to feel included. I can't be alone. It's the weekend. It's Friday. I need something to do. If I don't get invited, I'm going to feel less important. I'm going to feel less special. I'm going to feel like no one cares about me. No one likes me. I got no friends if people don't invite me to do stuff, because I need stimulation. Because if you don't have stimulation, right, then if you're not stimulated from the external, from all the shits and giggles, from all the distractions, then then you got to get stuck in your thoughts. And most of us, we are so uncomfortable. If you're that person tossing and turning and turning and tossing and tossing and turning, and your mind's going 5,000 miles per hour, it's because that is one of the outlets of where we process our emotions, right? So you either have a blowout when it comes to your emotional state of being, right? You unload, and usually you won't unload on the person that has caused this pain, right? And that's unfortunate. It's usually, you usually go off or distance yourself emotional on people that you care about, that you love. And it's sad because there's so many broken homes, there's so many broken relationships, because people don't know how to regulate their own emotions. And you're a grown-ass adult. But guess what? You never learn how. How are you supposed to know how to do something you never were taught to do? And that's really been the journey that I've been on. That's the whole point of this results kills excuses. It's all on me. All of this message has been focused on the fact that I had that wake-up call when I became a teacher, even after years and years and years of therapy. When I became a teacher in one of the lowest ranked schools, where it was a trauma-informed school, I was like, okay, cool. And then we started getting all this training about how to recognize trauma in children, how to facilitate, how to provide space. We even had mindful. I've never been at a school where during the morning announcements, we would have like a mindful minute where we had a counselor get on and run us through like a mindfulness meditation. It was beautiful. But it was necessary because so many of our children, what I recognize as an empath and someone that really is sensitive to people's energy, I seen the dead energy on children. They were being abused, they were being neglected, they all kinds of crazy shit. You name it, it was happening to these children. And I could see that energy on them. Thus, I also knew that they weren't ready to learn, that I had to spend more time trying to build self-confidence, to create a safe space for them to feel safe in their bodies, safe in the classroom, right? That more trauma or more bad things weren't going to happen while at school. And most of these kids, that was their safe place, was to be at school, away from whoever the caregivers were. And the other thing that happened to me in that process is I had to start looking in the mirror, like deeper into trauma. And in full transparency, I'm diagnosed with PTSD, military related. And yet, what does PTSD mean? Post-traumatic stress disorder. And there's that trauma. And yet, we don't even know what this means. Right. But at least in the VA, they do say like it's post-traumatic. That means you encountered something that was literally life and death, very traumatic, right? Gruesome, like crazy, that coming off of that, you are now altered from an emotional state of being. How you behave, the sounds, the triggers, right? There's all these triggers that happen, right? They talk about we're coming up almost on 4th of July, right? A lot of veterans are sensitive to, fireworks going off, kind of a recreation of battle. But the crazy thing is that we all carry a trauma, period. And in the veteran sense, maybe there are many, not all, right? There are many veterans that get triggered by the fireworks. Because then what else? There's a lot of gun shooting and stuff around 4th of July also. So, that's a very stressful time because what? It's triggering an emotional something, a flashback, a memory of a circumstance that may be similar, right? That then puts that person back in that time and space. But the thing about many of us that don't have the uniform, we've had traumas, could be sexual abuse, could be neglect, right? Could be betrayal, could be physical, verbal abuses, right? And then just emotional traumas from our caregivers, not feeling good enough. So that, man, there are a million things that can trigger us to having this emotional outpouring, which is like a safety mechanism. It's a survival mechanism. It's a defense mechanism to protect us. And yet it can come from literally locations, seasons, smells, colors, flowers, people, all of these things can trigger you to then feeling what? Insecure, feeling bad, feeling like shit, feeling that lower emotional state of being. And what you need to realize is, one, that all of this exists inside of you, that you need to figure out what is going on inside of you. And that's really the biggest challenge, because you can't do it by happy hour and fucking off and being distracted. You need to literally sit in a sober, clear state of being. There are some cool medicinal outlets, right? Some plant medicines that alter, right? Could be microdosing mushrooms, could be ayahuasca. I'm even hearing stuff with the frogs, right? That do help people get into this subconscious, because see, that's the key to it all. In your conscientious mind, you want to say, hey, I'm just a happy person, I just want to have fun, I just want to feel loved, I just want to be like, and then on the deeper level, but what you're really wanting is, I want to feel safe emotionally speaking, I want to feel stable emotionally speaking, I want to feel secure emotionally speaking. Because if you experience a lot of trauma as a child, there's a good chance that you don't feel safe from an emotional state of being, and your emotions run on the subconscious level. Because see, something happens, and then your emotions, which is your body, expresses something. So if you were to get a call and say, hey, you just won a prize, right? You would hear that and be like, oh, I won a prize. Well, you don't just sit there and say, oh, that's cool. Most people are like, what? Really? That's cool. Whoa, you like start celebrating. Well, the celebration is the emotions. But if someone was to call you up and say, hey, your close loved one died, you're not gonna be like, oh, okay, that's cool. No, you're gonna be like, what? It's gonna be shock. And then all this like emotion. Oh my God, it's like peril. And so it's that feeling after, those are the emotions, which is ultimately your pain, right? And that is what you need to heal. And you need to know you have the power within you to heal your emotional state of being. But it is not easy, and it is not no magic tricks, man. No magic tricks. This guy used to be on fire for the Lord, and the magic tricks did not work to fix my subconscious emotional state of being, because those are running programs. You have to literally get into the subconscious. That's where hypnosis really came into help me a lot, a lot. But also really expanding my vocabulary of emotions, so that when I could be mindful enough and present enough to see that when something changes, when there's a mood shift from just being either neutral or just really enjoying my day, and then something happens, an interaction happens where I get tensed up, or just I feel uncomfortable, I feel triggered, that I can now sit there and be like, breath, breathing is very important. How do I feel? What's going on? I have this dialogue with myself, and I say, oh, wow, I'm upset. I'm angry. Actually, I'm not upset. I'm not angry. I'm nervous. I'm scared. And you can get deeper, right? Because on the surface, hatred, right, is usually protecting what? Pain, being hurt. Anger is usually protecting being scared. If you're someone that looks at yourself and or people are saying you're angry, or you consider yourself like, I have uncontrollable anger, right? That used to be me. It's a spirit of irritation, and it's also, it's a lack of control, emotionally speaking, right? You think you're in control of your life, but if you don't have control of your emotional state of being, you do not have control. Thus, you do not have freedom. Thus, you do not have peace. You could be a funny motherfucker. Ha ha ha, he, right? But you do not have peace, and you do not have happiness, and you do not have joy inside. Little blimps, but overall, there's something that you don't trust inside of yourself, right? And that was really the journey. That has been the journey I have been on, to say, I am not okay not trusting myself emotionally speaking. I am tired of hurting people I love, that I care for, because I can't control whatever the fuck is going on inside of me. And I need to figure it out. Right. And there's some great books that can create more awareness. Right. The Mountain Is You, The Big Leap, right? Untethered Soul, The Power of Now, right? That's four like big hitters. And those aren't books that you just listen to or read through one time. I have listened to and read through those books multiple times, 6 times, half a dozen times each in just the last couple years. like literally back to back to back to back, listening to those books because there is so much depth to what is being communicated. It's not just chalking up. Oh, I listened to 100. I read 100 books this year, right? I'd much rather read 5 books 5 times, right? Than read 25 books, right? That's simple math, 5 times 5. I'd rather listen to 5 books 5 times that are truly life-changing with depths of lessons and knowledge. Again, The Mountain Is You, The Big Leap, Untethered Soul, The Power of Now. Very profound books that really just peel back the ego and the emotions and the body to really just start getting more present. But it really takes you saying, look, man, like, I get it. I got some emotional stuff, because anytime that you get triggered, right, you usually want relief from the pain. And I'm talking about emotional pain. I'm not talking about, but the emotional pain is physical pain. It's a discomfort in your body to where something happens and it's so quick, you guys. It's a literal one thought. It's a smell. It's sometimes we don't even realize. We're just kind of going about our evening, and then something happens. The next thing you know, you're wanting relief. You're like, you get this urge. You need to go drink. You need to get high. You need to pop some pills. You get a craving for one of the vices, right? You just out of nowhere, you say, oh man, I'm craving my favorite fucking guilty pleasure. I'm craving a bucket of ice cream. I'm craving some candy or some cookies. I'm craving cake. I'm craving chips, unhealthy things. And the craving, if you really can start being more present, that craving was triggered by some kind of a thought or a circumstance that happened that made you uncomfortable from an emotional standpoint. And that's really like the depths of this message, that you will, if you don't heal your pain, which is your emotions, you will continue to hurt people. And those people are people that care about you. And they're people that you care about. But I believe that if you're hearing this message, it's because you are called. You are chosen, right? To be the one to end the emotional pain and suffering, passing of the baton. And especially if you're a parent and you still have young ones, man, the sooner you can get a hold of this and really start working and doing that inner work, right? You can really help to influence that next generation in your life, in your family, to let them then heal themselves. And I'm grateful that I'm seeing that. My kids are still young enough. They're still influential enough that they've seen the transformation, you guys. They've seen it from this, the instability of a man, drunk motherfucker, right? Getting wasted, coming home wasted, drunk, puking. It was terrible. To now seeing where I'm at now, stable, emotionally speaking, secure, emotionally speaking, right? Safe, emotionally speaking, where I can hold space and have conversation, curiosity, be understanding, that I can be so centered on myself that I don't have to change you and I don't got to change anybody else. I just know that I can keep showing up for myself and being the best version of me every single day. And as I do that, right, I'm going to attract people into my life. I'm going to attract like people, but I'm also going to attract people that are needing to hear this, that are equal versions of my former self, of who I used to be. Because I am perfectly qualified to help the man that I was. And that's what keeps me going every single day. As I keep every single day, my goal, my dream is to become the best version of myself, is to become the man that I always wish I had in my life from the youngest age, right? To truly exemplify, right, the healthy, strong, powerful, right, spiritual, divine masculinity, right, that I always wish I had in my corner. to be that man. That is my drive. And I don't know how far I can go, but I know that every day I'm able to sit there and reflect and journal and say, you know what? I can write some expressions of being proud and grateful for who I am and who I'm becoming. And I can also have some reflection on, I wish I would have done this differently, or I will do this differently in the future, because I can see with clear eyes that there's still residual from old programs. And that's why those of you that have looked for the spiritual solution in terms of a religion, let's be honest, it doesn't solve it, man. It doesn't solve the emotional trauma. It doesn't. I wish it did, because I gave that a 100, 120, right? And if I'm honest, I felt like I probably even incurred more trauma, more rejection, right? Not from God, but from people that are insecure, from people that are controlling, from people that are carrying around their own trauma, living in a life and a reality of denial, but also just looking for quick fixes, right? For feel good, right? Because just like those of you that like to just sit around and ha ha ha, he, there's also those that just want to like cultivate, let's just all feel good together. Let's all feel good. Let's all just paint light and love and peace and happiness and joy. And it's like, it don't last. And you know it don't last. Just like the day will become night. Because then when you go back home and you close that door and you're sitting there alone, or you're there with your family, then that's where you got to really realize that that's the real shit that's going down. That when you go to the clubhouse, right, and everybody's just like, yay, happiness, love, light, Jesus, God, whatever, that's beautiful. Great. It's great to be in a positive environment. But how does it truly infuse to the depths of your soul, to the depths of your emotional state of being? And in my experience, you guys, it didn't. It did not transform the emotions. I always say, man, I believe in God, believe Jesus walked this earth, right? Belief in him may get you to heaven. That's afterlife. So many of you are so focused on that right now, right? You're so heavenly minded, you're no earthly good. But here's the thing. You got to do the work. Why would there be a quote that says, works, right? Your deeds, what you do, right? You have to put in work to heal, to grow, to just do life. It takes a lot of effort. And there's a lot of things trying to pull you to get you to what? Be distracted, to get you to check out, to get you to be complacent. Think about it. Everything that's being sold right now is to hopefully make you feel good and better about yourself, that you're willing to exchange your money, which your money is attached to your time, right? In order to get something that you don't even take with you. And thus, you get the new car, you get the new house. Eventually, guess what? The car gets dirty, the house gets filthy, right? And that don't mean you don't appreciate it and be grateful for it. But we don't, these things do not complete us. Where we complete us is when we complete ourselves. And by completing yourself, it's by truly going inside, internal, to heal your pain, to discover what pain you have. That's really the exercise, right? What pain do you have? Meditate on that. What are you carrying around? What's happened in your life that has really hurt you? And you got to go all the way back. You can't just go back to this week. Oh, well, I was insulted. I have a terrible boss, or I have a terrible coworker or manager. My customers are all fucking demanding. I can't put up with them. It's not about that. I'm talking about what hurt you as a child. When did you first feel scared? When did you first feel terrified? When did you first feel unloved? Or when did you feel like something was wrong with you? Right? That you weren't good enough for a caregiver's time and attention and nurturing, right? That you are a burden. See, this is where this stuff comes from. And this is what creates so much toxic energy within our adult lives and our intimate relationships. And if you want more peace, right, you have to go in. Just like if you want to improve the relationships with others, you have to improve the relationship with yourself. Period. And the only way you're going to improve the relationship with yourself is by spending more time with yourself alone. Very focused time. It's not just being alone, it's being proactive, being focused without distractions, saying, look, I'm going to really work on myself. I'm ready to start working on myself. And if you're someone that's ready to start working on yourself, but you need someone to hold you accountable, you need someone to give you some first steps, reach out to me, right? I am available for life coaching. It's not free. It's not going to be free. My time is very valuable, right? But I can tell you it's not going to break the bank, but I can tell you that you will get results and you will feel a hell of a lot better than yourself, about yourself, and you will start to work through and break through some barriers. I'm not a therapist, right? Not a psychologist. I'm just a motherfucker that's been through a lot of shit and has a lot of results, a lot of proof to show that, look, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And I'm here to help other people that are ready. And that's what sucks is a lot of you are afraid. A lot of you aren't ready. A lot of you have people in your life wishing you would be ready. They're praying for you to be ready. And unfortunately, we're so fucking stubborn that usually it takes hitting a rock bottom. And some of us, it even takes us hitting the reset button. When I say reset, I say there's a lot of people that kill themselves because they can't handle the pain, right? They cannot handle the pain that they are feeling emotionally, right? They're not having to walk around and have their arm cut off. No, it is an emotional pain. It is terrible. It's terrible, man. How many people delete themselves, kill themselves, commit suicide because they cannot handle the emotional pain? They don't have a solution to give them relief. The drugs haven't given them relief. Alcohol hasn't given them relief. Relationships hasn't given them relief, right? Nothing has given them relief. Even spirituality, religion hasn't given them relief of the emotional pain. When yet the key is to go within, to understand. And it takes that. It takes understanding. It takes compassion. It takes clear vision, right? Not criticalness. Most of us don't understand how to forgive ourselves because we do realize that we've made mistakes. We're ashamed of them. We're embarrassed of them. We're in denial of our mistakes. But most of us realize we've made some big mistakes in this life and we hide them and we continue to hide them. Right? That doesn't mean that go away. You can have a lot of fun. You can have a lot of happy hours. That doesn't make you happy. Right? It's not until you truly accept yourself. And the most effective, consistent way for me to truly analyze and reflect and work through a lot of my emotional pain and suffering, trauma, has been through journaling. Because it's intimate. I'm having a conversation with myself. I don't have to worry about judging. Yeah, sure. There are parts of me that wants to judge when I have to write down something I'm really ashamed of, right? That. It's really tough. But I also have to be what? The man that I've always dreamed of having in my life, right? because it's the inner child that's scared. It's the inner child that's insecure. It's the inner child that doesn't feel safe. So when you write down something very vulnerable, that's very revealing about yourself, that you can be honest with yourself about something that's either in your character, something that's happened to you, you need to then also write down the love you have for yourself, the care, the compassion, the forgiveness. You write this shit down. So you not only just kind of write the confession and like, and you can even put that, I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed of myself. I hate myself because of XYZ, whatever's happened. You can write that in your journal. That's what's beautiful about it. Because it does take that level of honesty and clarity. But then you follow that up with being that incredible coach, being that incredible mentor, being that healthy super parent that most of us never had, that says, hey, don't be so hard on yourself. Right? You did what maybe in some of these, it wasn't even doing the best you could. It's been after that you've done the best. But I know you can do more. But it's also saying, look, we have to accept that this happened. We can't change it. But guess what? We can start to heal. We can let go. We can forgive not only ourselves. If someone else has hurt you, you can forgive them, right? Forgive, let go of the past. Let go of the past. The reason why you feel the emotional pain and trauma is because your body, your mind, your spirit is still holding on to something bad that has happened in your past. And it is not until you go inside and really write it out and express it and let it go, release it. And it's not one and done. That's what's tough. Healing is very hard. It can be even more painful because something happened, and maybe it happened in an instant, maybe it happened over an extended period of time. But guess what? Healing also can come in spurts, but it also it just takes time. Like I said, I still have residual where I still see a little bit more tweaking, a little bit more work to be done in certain areas. But I am seeing results, and it does set me free, and it does put a smile on my face. And I know it's attracting beautiful people into my life, and I'm grateful for that because I can now trust myself. I don't need vices. If I'm feeling uncomfortable, I don't need candy, junk food, alcohol, drugs, relationships. I don't need any of it. But what's beautiful is all I need are the things that truly build me up, the self-care, right? And then you start to build that momentum. Look, the weekend's here. Some of y'all just gonna keep doing what you do, fucking off, laughing, happy hours, eating unhealthy. But some of y'all, this may be the day. This could be the day that you start changing up your habits, your patterns, and your ultimate mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health. I wish you all well, right? I send you love. I send you energy. I send you a positive state of being. I send you transformational energy to truly align with becoming the best version of yourself. Because it's when you have that vision and you realize that you're worthy of becoming the best version of yourself. And the best version doesn't need any of the bullshit, right? None of it. You don't need any of it, right? There's something very beautiful when you can truly start to lean into that and to look at growth, to look at challenges, to look at all of the difficulties of life as just opportunities for you to get there. They're not it's not designed to destroy you. It's designed to bring out something beautiful inside of you. And that's a hard lesson. That's a hard reality. And I didn't create this, but I am doing my best to work on me and to share with you the journey. Because you know the drill. Results kill. excuses. It's all on me. Greg's out.